Hi, my name is Marie-Laure Navas. I am professor and was appointed Deputy Director of Montpellier SupAgro last year. I am in charge of academic and scientific programs. My first work has been to prepare a new scientific and education strategy. Now, it is time to put it into action in our training programs, research, and consulting activities. In my opinion, there are three necessary conditions to achieve that objective. The first one is that the strategic orientations must be clear, reachable, and understandable by everyone. I think that using 2 or 3 crystal clear messages for describing a strategy is the best option. For example, the objectives of my institution can be formulated as follows. We have to be more focused because we have too many programs with too many different scopes. We have to be priority-oriented, selecting a limited number of scientific and societal priorities based on our scientific skills. We have to reinforce the links between education, research, and development. The second condition is to identify a limited number of projects led by well-recognized leaders and flexible enough for allowing innovation in education, teaching skills, or research. The last condition is to schedule self-evaluation, to look back our achievements in order to look into the future. Each of these conditions correspond to a different step with different kinds of difficulties. In my opinion, the only way to define clear, reachable, and understandable strategic orientations is to combine both top-down and bottom-up approaches. The top-down approach is needed to give the broad picture of the new strategy and to test the major ideas in order to detect whether or not they are timely. This top-down approach is also necessary when there are external constraints or demands. For example, we had to take into consideration the recommendation by the French Ministry of Agriculture that was to strongly decrease the number of training programs. On the other hand, the bottom-up approach is required to collect different points of view in order to facilitate new innovative proposals, even very different from that originally proposed by the head of the institution. For us, in SupAgro, this approach allows to define 4 scientific axes, to detect some flagship programs related to 3 of them, such as training programs and MOOC in agroecology, or the Alimentation du Monde or World Food System Share labeled by the UNESCO. However, there is no unique and ideal method. Both top-down and bottom-up approaches are necessary to design a global picture, but also to collect new projects that can likely shift the initial project. On top of that, the understanding of the strategic orientations by everyone strongly depends on the intermediate management. The role of these managers is to explain the different proposals and to facilitate their dissemination. In my institution, these managers had a tremendous importance for explaining why we wanted to define axes allowing to link education, research, and industrial partnerships, and how the decision will be built step by step, then definitely taken. This whole work is always time-consuming, but it is worth the effort because it is the only way to get people involved. Once this general picture is designed, the project and activity must be identified, and the leaders and teams must be recognized. In my institution, we defined a number of projects, among whose 2 were of major importance. The first one was related to changes in numbers of bachelor and master programs. We decided that a new group formed by teachers that we called a diploma committee will be in charge of that project, 1 for each degree. At the beginning, it was quite hard to get that proposal accepted because teachers used to work alone or in small groups, but after 1 year, we are really impressed by the work which has been done. The second project was related to the scientific definition of the transversal axes and the identification of actions for each of them. I gave some directions at the very beginning, but soon after, some colleagues proposed a new axis nobody had thought about before. A new theme emerged, as well as new leaders, and that was great. This step is time-consuming, and it is very difficult to decide when to stop. However, the time open for discussion must be clearly limited to be sure to get a proposal at the very end. Once again, the method must be clearly explained at the very beginning. The last step, corresponding to the self-evaluation period, is often forgotten because when some people want to go further, the others want to be on a routine. In my opinion, this step is crucial because of course it helps to change things, but more important, it allows to go back to people involved. Here again, the support by the intermediate managers is of major importance. In conclusion, I think that a successful reform is characterized by its flexibility. Pioneering proposals must be possible because they are often the basis for the changes to come. This requires some flexibility in the administration, but also to detect managers with listening skills and willingness to be open to different opinions.